Thank you, Chairperson, Madam Vice President. Good afternoon to all. Sorry for the delay. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure to address the Human Rights Council in my capacity as Chair Rapporteur of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Elaboration of Complementary Standards and to introduce the report of the committee on its 14th session. I'm pleased to update you that the work of the Ad Hoc Committee has been progressing since I last reported to you during the 54th session a year ago. As you will recall, this Council, during its 54th session in paragraph 10 of resolution of the Human Rights Council Resolution 54/27, and I quote, took note of the conclusions and recommendations made by the Ad Hoc Committee on the Elaboration of Complementary Standards to the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, which at its 13th session continued its discussions on the elaboration of a draft additional protocol to the Convention, end of quote. And in paragraph 11 requested the High Commissioner in the further fulfillment of the mandate of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Elaboration of Complementary Standards to the ICERD to engage the group of legal experts representing different regions and legal systems referred to by the Human Rights Council in its Resolution 51/32 of 7 October 2022, and task them to continue to provide the chair of the Ad Hoc Committee with precise guidance and inputs to allow for the preparation of the chair's document in accordance with the committee's mandate. In paragraph 12, the Human Rights Council also requested the High Commissioner to facilitate the participation of this legal expert in the 14th session of the Ad Hoc Committee and to task them with providing advice with a view to contributing to discussions on the elaboration of a draft additional protocol criminalizing acts of a racist and xenophobic nature in order to implement the committee's mandate. In October 2023, I also presented my progress report on the Ad Hoc Committee on Complementary Standards as requested to the Third Committee of the General Assembly in New York, and I was able to engage with delegation on the work of the committee. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like now to present a brief overview of the 14th session, which you may consult in further detail in the report, HRC/57/69 in its advanced unedited version. The 14th session of the Ad Hoc Committee on the Elaboration of Complementary Standards took place in the conference room, this same conference room 20, from 2020 July to 2nd August 2024, with the participation of delegations, civil society representatives. Regretfully, the Ad Hoc Committee did not engage with the legal experts as at the 13th session, neither in person nor online. But the committee heard video-recorded presentation prepared by the legal experts. Allow me to recall that at the 10th session in 2019, this committee, the Ad Hoc Committee, adopted by consensus a summary of issues and possible elements discussed pertaining to the implementation of the GA Resolution 73/262 and Human Rights Council Resolution 34/36 on the commencement of the negotiations. And I want to emphasize on the commencement of negotiation on the draft additional protocol to the Convention criminalizing acts of racist and xenophobic nature. This document set out the focus of the committee's work in 4 areas. A, dissemination of hate speech. B, racial cybercrime, including social media network and companies. C, all contemporary forms of discrimination based on religion or belief. And D, preventive measures to combat racist and xenophobic discrimination. In light of this 10th session, elements document and Human Rights Council Resolution A/HRC/Res/54/27, legal expert pursued the legal research and analysis and holding consultation virtually in order to provide inputs and guidance to allow for the preparation of a chair rapporteur, actually an updated chair rapporteur's document at the 14th session. Their work was informed by issues and elements on which the committee requested further elaboration in paragraph 101 of its 13th session report, A/HRC/54/65. These important issues and elements formed the substantive focus of discussions on experts' input during the 14th session. The expert had also, during the intersessional period, worked with me to provide some ideas, advice, and insights to assist the preparation of an updated chair document. During the session itself, the committee continued making substantive progress on exploring these key issues and elements. The ad hoc committee discussed the following issues and elements. A, the relationship between and the role of criminal and civil law in the context of fighting acts of racist and xenophobic nature. B, the scope of possible conducts to be criminalized on the basis of Article 4 of the ICERD, and how issues of participation in racist organizations, racial profiling, and xenophobia should be addressed in the optional protocol. C, application of the concept of intersectionality and whether to include aggravating factors or other possible grounds of discrimination. D, how xenophobia and racial profiling can be addressed in the additional protocol, including their linkages with contemporary forms of racism. E, how issues of discrimination on the grounds of religion and belief can be addressed in the additional protocol, including issues of the intersectionality of various forms of discrimination as aggravating factors. F, legal safeguards concerning the criminalization of acts of xenophobic nature, including the principles of legality, necessity, and proportionality, equal access to justice, and the right to a fair trial. H, how to address extraterritorial obligation of states for acts of racist and xenophobic nature online, with a view to encouraging international cooperation between states and also with social media providers and relevant enterprises and non-state actors. G, victims' rights and issues related to equal access to justice and the right to remedy. And finally, I, definition of additional terms and norms. The ad hoc committee also heard a presentation by the chairperson of the committee on the elimination of racial discrimination. The committee considered the chairperson's updated draft document pursuant to the Human Rights Council Resolution A/RHC/Res/54/27 and further to summary of issues and possible elements discussed pertaining to the implementation of GA Resolution 73/262 and HRC Resolution 34/36 on the commencement of the negotiations on the draft additional protocol to the Convention criminalizing acts of racist and xenophobic nature adopted during the 10th session. At the end of the session, the committee agreed by consensus that the chair rapporteur would continue to engage with legal experts on issues where convergence appeared and requested concrete elements for draft provision of the draft additional protocol for consideration at its 15th session. For consideration at that session that will take place in 2025. As outlined in paragraph 155 of the present report, A/HRC/57/69. The committee requested further elaboration, development, and clarification on issues where divergent views appeared, as outlined in paragraph 156 in the same report. The ad hoc committee also requests, in accordance with its mandate, legal experts to continue to provide the chair rapporteur with more developed inputs and precise legal advice in view of the upcoming 15 and 16 session, and to ensure their interactive participation. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, based on this 14th session, the committee continued to undertake a structured and focused consideration of the possible substance of the complementary standard, guided by its mandate to elaborate as a matter of priority and necessity complementary standards in the form of either a convention or additional protocol to the ICERD through Human Rights Council decision 3/103 and resolution 6/21 and 10/30, and the request that the chair rapporteur of the ad hoc committee to ensure the commencement of the negotiation on the draft additional protocol criminalizing acts of racist and xenophobic nature, pursuant to General Assembly Resolution 67/205 and the HRC Resolution 3436, respectively. Let me reiterate my belief that the work of the ad hoc committee on the elaboration of complementary standard is not an intellectual exercise and should make progress toward achieving this goal as indicated as a matter of priority and necessity. Ultimately, millions of people across the globe are watching us, waiting to see more adequate remedies and protection against racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance, including their contemporary forms, as was articulated in the Durban Programme of Action. I am hopeful that a modern, high-quality additional protocol to the ICERD with the highest standard has the potential to address these concerns, and it's within reach if the will of member states is at the rendezvous. Furthermore, the work on the additional protocol should always strengthen and in no way weaken or diminish the existing provisions of the ICERD. The ad hoc committee's work should not take away from what already exists at the international level, but strengthen and complement standards. I was very heartened that representatives of permanent mission and civil society are continuing to cooperate and contribute in a productive manner in the ad hoc committee. I am appreciative of the constructive approach and willingness to compromise demonstrated during the 14th session. I'm particularly grateful to delegations which participated in the informal discussion to work together on the consensus outcome of the 14th session. Despite some differences within the committee, there exists a strong common belief in the fight against racism. In view of the upcoming 15th session, I will continue to count on all delegations and participants to continue engaging substantively and constructively, including during the intersessional period. And I would also encourage delegations to deep dive in the document, that the updated chair's document that we started working on in the 14th session. In conclusion, it is my hope that the work of the ad hoc committee continues to progress and that we all remain actively engaged in this important process to address the contemporary forms of racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerance everywhere. And I thank you, Madam Chair.